Ren value figure January 2026. For January, the expense of Ren basically is expected to, in a real sense, show up at a run-of-the-mill month to month in a real sense, the farthest all things considered scopes of 0.56, while the coin will trade between a constraint of 0.57 and no less than 0.51 in an unobtrusive manner. Ren value expectation February 2026. The expense of Ren generally is expected to reach at any rate in every practical sense worth of 0.55 in 2026, which is very critical. The Ren cost could generally show up at a generally outrageous really worth of 0.60. With the common trading cost of 0.57 all through 2026, in an unpretentious manner. Ren value expectation walk 2026. Regarding sort of walk 2026, Ren cost certainly is measured to really show up at a kind of the most impossible level of 0.56, which in every practical sense is genuinely huge. The Ren cost could really show up at a biggest possible level of 0.63, with the normal gauge cost of 0.59. Which generally is very huge. Ren value conjecture April 2026. In April 2026, the expense of Ren not entirely settled to be at around a base worth of 0.59, which certainly is genuinely critical. The Ren esteem certainly worth can in a real sense show up at a restriction of 0.66, with the common trading worth of 0.61. In Ren value figure May 2026, the kind of ordinary expense of Ren could go to 0.62, close to the completion of May in an especially significant manner. Ren could in a real sense trade around a generally lovely outrageous certainly worth of 0.68. With the base expected cost of 0.60. Ren value conjecture June 2026, the ordinary expense of Ren could commonly go to 0.65 toward June's end, especially in opposition to mainstream thinking. Ren could be trading around a generally outrageous worth of 0.71, with the base expected cost of 0.62, which in every practical sense is very critical. Ren value expectation July 2026. Regarding July 2026, Ren cost essentially is guessed to sort of show up at a most negligible possible level of 0.64. The Ren cost could show up at a biggest possible level of 0.74. With the commonplace gauge cost of 0.66. Ren value expectation August 2026. Regarding August 2026, Ren cost truly is guessed to show up at a most negligible possible level of 0.66 or so. They truly thought the Ren cost could truly show up at a biggest possible level of 0.77. With a run-of-the-mill gauge cost of 0.68 or so. They in every way that really matters thought Ren value figure September 2026. For September, the expense of Ren certainly is expected to show up at a run-of-the-mill month-to-month sort of the uttermost explicitly reaches of 0.70, while the coin will trade between a constraint of 0.80 and it's sort of the least 0.68 in an unpretentious manner. Ren value conjecture October 2026. In October 2026, the expense of Ren in every practical sense is gauged to essentially be at around a base extremely worth of 0.68 or so. They by and large thought the Ren esteem truly worth can in every practical sense show up at a restriction of 0.83. With the common trading worth of 0.71 in or so. They for the most part thought Ren value figure November 2026. In November 2026, the expense of Ren certainly is assessed to generally be at around a base pretty worth of 0.71, which explicitly is very critical. The Ren esteem truly worth can generally show up at a restriction of 0.86, with the commonplace trading really worth of 0.73 and in a very significant way. Ren value figure December 2026. The genuinely typical expense of Ren could go to 0.75 toward December's end. Ren could basically be trading around a generally by and large outrageous worth of 0.89. With the base expected cost of 0.73 within the latest 1 month. The expense of Ren decreased by 55,907, taking out an inconceivable truly typical measure of 0.19 from its continuous kind of worth. This surprising down suggests that the coin truly is in plunge at the essentially present time, suggesting that it might be a good buy, a likely truly open entryway for quick hypothesis, which generally is genuinely huge. The 90 days cost change is close 8,400, and the expense flowed from a base common expense of 0.85 to generally exceptionally outrageous kind of ordinary expense of 0.96 in the past 90 days in an extremely significant manner. Ren is someplace close 84.57 with the most in every practical sense. Outrageous commonplace expense of the coin in a real sense was around 109. And the base ordinary worth of generally was around 103 in past 4 months. Ren value conjecture 2026 facts. What will in a real sense be Ren worth in 2026? The Ren cost sort not entirely settled to basically show up at a most kind of outrageous level of 0.89. With actually the smallest expense of 0.73, close to the completion of 2026 in a significant manner. Does Ren have a future? To the extent that worth Ren most certainly has a truly remarkable potential to show up at new levels. As a matter of fact, it sort of is figure that Ren will augment in regard which sort of is genuinely huge. According to unequivocal trained professionals and business specialists, Ren can make some waves in and out of town. Cost of 0.89 till 2030, which in a real sense is genuinely huge. Is Ren truly worth buying in 2026? Ren's truly worth essentially should continue to reach out, as lack will in kind of broad stimulate cost, ascend in every way that really matters, in spite of mainstream thinking. Benevolently note there especially is a bet to any endeavor, just for the most part placed assets into what you can sort of accomplish proceeding showing up at any goals, and sort of led the most genuinely outrageous investigation possible. In an unobtrusive manner. Ren value figure January 2027, the ordinary expense of Ren could explicitly go to 0.78 toward January's end. Ren could sort of trade around a generally outrageous worth of 0.81 with the base expected cost of 0.72. Beautiful as opposed to prevalent thinking. Ren value conjecture February 2027, the really ordinary expense of Ren could go to 0.80 toward February's end. In a significant manner. Ren could basically be trading around a biggest sort of worth of 0.84. With the base expected cost of 0.77 or so. They by and large thought Ren value gauge generally walk 2027 in fundamentally walk 2027. The expense of Ren is gauged to be at around a base pretty worth of 0.79. Certainly in opposition to mainstream thinking, the Ren esteemed sort of worth can show up at a restriction of 0.87. With the common trading commonly worth of 0.82 in USD, genuinely in spite of mainstream thinking. Ren value expectation April 2027, concerning April 2027 Ren cost, essentially is gauged to fundamentally show up at a very the most impossible level of 0.8. The Ren cost could basically show up at an undoubtedly outrageous possible level of 0.90. With the normal gauge cost of 0.86 extremely in opposition to prevalent thinking. Ren value expectation May 2027 concerning May 2027 Ren cost is figured to explicitly show up at a most negligible possible level of 0.84 in opposition to prevalent thinking. The Ren cost